Here's part two of our story with our time at the Vineyard Church. And remember when I said in part one that this particular Vineyard Church was not like other vineyards. There were still some things that were not perfect about it, but what church is perfect, right? They didn't have a lot of crazy things going on. But remember, like I said in my first video, they didn't have a huge emphasis on teaching the Word of God. We wound up being in leadership there, facilitating discipleship classes, overseeing the children's ministry. And my husband and I did have this idea of doing church differently. And we presented it to the pastor there, and he said, "Yeah, I think you guys are going to be church planters." But we were really feeling led to come to Tennessee. Since we felt led by the Lord to go to Nashville, Tennessee, the pastor, hooked us up with a vineyard in Nashville. When we got there, we were welcomed so much. They had like really cool music. I told you their music was really good. And some of these people were actually in the music industry in Nashville. The thing we loved most was not only the music, but the community that we had there at that vineyard. We only stayed in Tennessee for like a little over a year and moved back to New York, wound up going back to the vineyard there. I think because I got homesick and just things weren't working out. It's almost like the first time we got down here, we were here prematurely. We moved back to New York State again, went to the same Vineyard Church. And we got in leadership positions there once again at that vineyard. And also the pastor sent us to Vineyard Church planting boot camp because he knew in our, that we wanted to follow the Lord. That's what we were thinking of, planting a church. So that's why we went to the boot camp. We were in New York less than a year, went to the boot camp training, and then moved back to Nashville. But this time we had like the Northeast Vineyard guys backing us up about planting a church and that we went through training. So then they hooked us up with the Southeast area vineyard people. We were in leadership even at the vineyard in the Nashville area. And at that time also we connected with the church planters here. But when we presented to them our ideas, they said, "This doesn't look like a vineyard church." I'll do a part 3 to finish up our time in the vineyard. But our journey doesn't end there. But stay tuned for part 3.